Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the voice of the WWE, Michael Cole.
Can I have your attention, please?
I am a two-time Grammy Award-winning announcer.
One of the most beloved figures of all time. The new Mr. WrestleMania! You didn't deserve to be one of the marquee matches in WrestleMania.
It was too long.
Yeah, way too long.
I go to the back and I look at Vince. And Vince looks at me and goes, "That is the worst thing I've ever witnessed in 60 years.
When we look back at some of the greatest play-by-play commentators in wrestling history, Michael Cole has to be on top of that list. And while time has certainly been kind to Cole, with him doing some of his best commentary work alongside Pat McAfee, his heel run from 2010 to 2012 was so unforgettably bad, it made WWE practically unwatchable during that time. So what exactly happened? How can a commentator with zero wrestling experience suddenly become the most despised heel in the company and even have an undefeated record at WrestleMania? For us to really understand why this was a terrible idea, let's look back at the beginning of his heel run. In February of 2010, WWE launched a new reality-based television show called NXT, featuring several aspiring talents competing in a series of matches and game show style challenges in hopes of earning a spot in the main roster. In order to give this new show a boost in credibility, Michael Cole was tasked with being the lead commentator for its first 3 seasons. Known for being the level-headed, mostly neutral voice in the commentary table pretty much his entire tenure, Cole's personality did a complete 180 the moment he stepped foot in NXT. It all started when Cole made some disparaging remarks aimed at one of the show's rookies, Daniel Bryan, believing that the indie darling doesn't have what it takes to make it to the big leagues. He would continually take pot shots at Bryan in the weeks and months that followed, eventually leading to a physical confrontation between the two on the May 26th episode of NXT. Their beef would last throughout the entire season and beyond, firmly establishing Cole as a heel commentator. The next 2 seasons would see Michael Cole become an absolute menace on commentary, developing a no-f***s-given attitude and just shitting on every cringy storyline and segments in hilarious fashion.
Sure will be a very technical, very sound, scientific matchup here tonight. Well, we're not the only ones bored with this.
Oh, just get on with it. This season can't end early enough.
Around the same time, he was also given another important responsibility over on Raw as he became the mouthpiece for the infamous anonymous Raw General Manager, initially serving as a mystery authority figure. After Bret Hart got kayfabe fired from the role, the anonymous Raw GM would make life a living hell for both babyfaces and viewers alike for the better part of a year, beginning on the June 21st, 2010 episode of Raw. This only served to draw more heat on Cole, who at this point has fully embraced his insufferable side, reading emails from a laptop week after week like a real corporate stooge. He would also develop this weird fascination with The Miz, as he became the Awesome One's biggest fanboy, constantly annoying fans with calls like,
The most must-see WWE champion ever. Truly awe-inspiring. Miz retains the title. Miz retains the title. Shut up.
And on the November 29th edition of Raw, Cole took this obsession to a whole nother level when he helped Miz retain the WWE title in a TLC match against his own broadcast partner, Jerry the King Lawler. A week later, the anonymous Raw GM would enforce a no-contact rule between Cole and Lawler, forcing them to make amends by shaking hands. The two would oblige. However, before Michael could leave the ring, he was sent straight to an RKO out of nowhere by the King. This sparked a feud between the two broadcast partners, with Cole believing that a color commentator shouldn't be getting title opportunities, much less winning it. And after weeks of constantly bickering at each other, things finally reached a boiling point when Cole decided to interview the King following his loss to The Miz at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Cole would take things too far by mentioning Jerry's deceased mother, which unsurprisingly angered the King, leading to Lawler challenging him to a match at WrestleMania 27. Hesitant at first, he ended up accepting said challenge, but on 2 conditions. His trainer, who later was revealed to be Jack Swagger, had to be on ringside, and he would also be the one to pick the special guest referee for their match. Jerry agreed to the terms, but just to stoke the fires even more, Cole slapped Lawler while hiding behind Swagger, who went on to punish the King with the ankle lock. The following week saw the voice of WWE hyping up his chosen special guest referee for the match, who turned out to be none other than Hall of Famer and fellow heel commentator John Bradshaw Layfield. Or at least, that was the plan. Before JBL could sign the contract and make it official, Stone Cold Steve Austin came down the ring, delivered a glorious-looking stunner to JBL, and signed the contract, making him the special guest referee, much to Michael Cole's horror. In the lead-up to their match at Mania, Cole would resort to some truly dirty antics in hopes of softening up his opponent. One of which was inviting Lawler's real-life son, the late Brian Christopher aka Grandmaster Sexay, to air out their family problems on live TV. Jerry would try his best to get his hands on Cole before their scheduled match, only for him to avoid it by hiding in a special booth he named the Coal Mine while Swagger does all of the dirty work. At WrestleMania 27, Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole would deliver a classic stinker of a match, by far the worst WrestleMania match of all time. Cole did his best impression of a technical wrestler, gently working on Lawler's leg for pretty much the entirety of the match, as fans rained him down with "You can't wrestle" chants. Things got mildly interesting when Swagger tried to throw in the towel for his protege, only to find himself on the receiving end of a Stone Cold Stunner. Finally, after more than 20 minutes of quote-unquote action, the match would mercifully be put to rest as Lawler made Cole submit to the ankle lock. In a perfect world, Cole getting his comeuppance as Jerry and Austin celebrated would have been the saving grace to this train wreck. But of course, this wouldn't be the worst WrestleMania match ever without that infamous swerve. During the celebration, the anonymous Raw GM would interrupt, claiming that Austin has overstepped his authority by physically interfering in the match and that Jerry Lawler has been disqualified as a result. This meant that the actual winner of the match, and now 1-0 at WrestleMania, is none other than Michael Cole. And just to make matters worse, this wouldn't be the end of the Cole-Lawler saga, as they continued feuding post-Mania, this time putting more spotlight on Jim Ross, who was also being constantly terrorized by Cole and Swagger. On the April 11th edition of Raw, Lawler faced Swagger in singles action, with the King beating the All-American to earn a rematch against Michael Cole at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But instead of picking the obvious option, Jerry decided to spice things up by announcing that at Extreme Rules, it'll be a tag team match between him and good old JR against Cole and Swagger. This happened after Cole slapped his trainer out of frustration for losing, teasing a potential falling out between the two, though just a week later, during Raw's London episode, the duo looked to have made amends like nothing happened. On that same night, fans had to painfully watch as Michael Cole got knighted by a Queen impersonator and then forced JR into kissing his disgusting royal foot on live television. Because of this, a match was made on the following Raw, pitting Sir Cole against JR in singles action. And to nobody's surprise, Swagger would get involved not too long into the match, causing a disqualification finish. The two would then punish JR for busting Cole's lip, only for the King to make the save and whip his rival's ass with a belt like a government mule, a small preview of the stipulation that would later be added to their tag match. At the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, the two teams would clash in a country whipping match, another entry into the string of terrible matches produced by this rivalry. Cole had the bright idea to wear bubble wrap in order to avoid getting hurt, which actually worked for a bit until Jerry was able to easily remove all of it. The match ended after Cole got one of the weakest looking roll-ups ever on JR and steal a victory for their team. Following this, Cole would announce his retirement from in-ring competition, but before he could do so, Jerry proposed one last rematch to settle the score, saying that if he beats the King for a third time, Lawler would personally induct him into the Hall of Fame and give him his ring. Cole declined the challenge but made the grave mistake of taking things too far again by mentioning Jerry's recently deceased mother, leading to this iconic moment. Swagger would end up making the save while also accepting Jerry's challenge for him, much to Cole's disbelief. During their contract signing, Cole goaded his rival to signing without reading the fine print and afterwards revealed the match stipulation to be a kiss my foot match. His arrogance would then prove to be his undoing as Cole inadvertently mocked his trainer's accomplishments, causing Swagger to get pissed and leave Michael to fend for himself. With no one to protect the voice of WWE, the King finally had free reins to do as he pleased, which he fully took advantage of. And at Over the Limit, Cole would finally get his long overdue comeuppance when Jerry defeated him in quick fashion. After the match, Lawler would invite everybody that Cole has wronged in the last few months down the ring so they too can also get their sweet revenge. And of course, the cherry on top of this, Sir Cole was then forced to suck the King's foot with his barbecue sauce covered mouth as Bret Hart locked him in the sharpshooter, a truly cathartic moment for everybody involved. This marked the end of their long rivalry, as Cole, having been humiliated after tasting defeat, would apologize to the WWE Universe a day later and hunker back to his real job as a commentator. He would still continue playing the heel role though and wrestle occasionally in the coming months, even becoming a surprise entrant at the 2012 Royal Rumble match. On July 9, 2012, Cole wrestled and won his last official match against Jerry the King Lawler again. However, this was just a quick one-off, with the real story being after the match, as Detective Santino finally solved the mystery behind the anonymous Raw GM, revealing it to be none other than Hornswoggle. His heel persona would also come to an end just a few months later on the September 10th edition of Raw, when Jerry Lawler suffered a legit heart attack on air and had to be rushed to a medical facility. Many fans praised Cole for putting on a brave face and pushing through by himself, constantly providing updates on the King's condition throughout the show. In the years following this, Michael Cole slowly started to rebuild his credibility, becoming a fan favorite and cementing himself as one of the Mount Rushmores of wrestling commentators. It might have taken Vince leaving, but Cole looks to have finally found his real voice in the WWE. So, how bad was Michael Cole's heel run actually? If I was to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. Let me explain why. Cole's heel run and his subsequent rivalry with Jerry the King Lawler pretty much sums up the quality of the product back in the early 2010s. This was a dark period in the WWE, with shows being near unwatchable at times, and Cole certainly did not help make it better. And look, I'm not even mad that Cole turned heel. I mean, he was such a menace on commentary, especially on NXT, that it was actually entertaining at times. But WWE should have drawn the line there and not turned him into a full-blown wrestler. By doing so, they wasted precious TV time on crappy segments that should have been used to build more meaningful storylines with actual WWE superstars. And worst, their match at WrestleMania 27 ended up going for so freaking long that it had to cut time on other more deserving matches on the card. Come to think of it, Cole only started feuding with Lawler because he thought commentators shouldn't put themselves on the spotlight, but he did it himself anyway, and to a far greater extent. Anyway, what did you think of Michael Cole's heel run? Let me know in the comments below. And if you wanna see more How Bad videos, check out the next one in your screen. See you there.